Hello again, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about two films, Culloden and The War Game by Peter Watkins. I've covered Peter Watkins before briefly about favourite directors, but I haven't really got into his films in depth. His films take some effort, which is the reason why I haven't got into them that much. It's just you have to be in the right mood to watch them, and you need to really invest to actually get what they're about. Yep. I mean, they're simple in what they are. They do tell you what they're about, but they require a lot of effort because they're intense. They expect the audience to be intelligent. They expect you to keep up, and they do have a perspective that's political that is beyond what you expect from most films. So political that The War Game is banned for 20 odd years in Britain from the BBC, who produced it. Every so often a film this happens. I mean, it was Scum as well, Alan Clark. It's almost a badge of pride. The BBC made something and ban it. It's almost like, oh, this is really good. It's usually something that's really good that gets banned. They don't ban garbage, they ban the really good stuff. That's BBC for you. Right, but we'll start off with Culloden. Culloden's the first one. Culloden is a it shows a documentary about the Battle of Culloden, which was in 1745, which was about Bonnie Prince Charlie, his return to Britain. He was the son of King James, who was deposed and thrown out of the country, and William of Orange came in and took over the kingship. Now, years later, his sons were all, who'd grown up in France, tried to come over and, you know, claim the kingship. Like Charles Charles Stuart Bunsen Charlie was a second son, and I think he was the second son. But this was the last grasp attempt to bring back Catholicism to the crown, basically, to the country. That no one wanted it, though. I mean, the reason why James had been thrown out was because he was a Catholic and he was trying to push Catholic agenda on a country that was very Protestant, who did not want this anymore. They wanted it just to be like, you can have your religion, but it's nothing to do with what we're going to do with the country. It should have no influence on us. So Britain at that time was very much a Protestant country. The only people who were kind of Catholic were the Jacobites in the Highlands of Scotland. They were still of the old school. They were trying to speak Gaelic, which James I had tried to cut out when he became King of Britain, because he was King of Scotland, then became King of Scotland and Britain. And because he knew all the clan wars, because of his mother had been killed and his mother was maybe Queen of Scots, he knew about the clan wars and all the rest of it, so he tried to cut out some of the problems, like the language and things, when he became king. And it always became a problem later on. Like, the Stuarts had this weird relationship with religion. It's a total mess. I can't go into all in detail, but they were both keeping themselves in the crown, but they had a very weird relationship. Like James I attacked the clans because of the clan wars, but the people who came after him and his family line relied on these clans to actually try and protect them. Even though they'd treated them horribly, they still relied on them to protect them. So, the Glencoe massacre came about because of when after King James II had been, or the third, I can't remember which one it was, had been thrown out. They were waiting for him to come back and cause an uprising, which caused oaths to have to be signed and stuff like that, and end up the Glencoe massacre. But the Stuarts had a bad relationship anyway, and when Prince Charlie came in 1745 as a last grasp, and he got the Highland clans interested in him, and they thought his charm would get the country on his side to take out the Protestant leadership. Didn't happen. They had a few minor victories, but England and the lowlands of Scotland, they both turned on them pretty quick and said, no, you're not getting far, we're going to push you back, we've had enough of this garbage. Because, I mean, England were expanding through the Caribbean, through America. They were about to lose America not long after this one. But this is peak arrogant Britain, peak like garbage Britain being this is a period when you hear about Britain being a horrible country in history. the 1700s is kind of the peak awfulness. The slave trade, everything that we all hate about Britain, it came this era. They were not nice people. They were really expanding. They kind of improved in the 1800s and abolished slavery, but in the 1700s they were peak capitalists. So, and they wanted rid of the Jacobite rebellion because it was causing havoc in Scotland. It was causing, I mean, they had to keep on coming back and dealing with it. It was like, we're sick of these people. Why do we have to deal with these idiots all the time? So when Charlie tried to throw his rebellion, they sent Lord Cumberland to go lead the troops and take him out, which they did. They trashed them because a lot of the Highland clans, even then, were like, nah, we're not going. Nah, sod it. And a lot of the people actually fighting in what this kind of full documentary dramatisation shows is that a lot of people fighting on the rebellion side didn't really believe in it. They were brought in because they were told to come in because the clan leaders were involved. The clan leaders wanted more land and more respect, and by joining the king and doing this means they'd expand. But that means we're forcing their own people to come and fight. The people had an oath shipped to them. It was honour bound on the pain of losing the meagre land they had to join this fight. So they were forced to come and join the fight. Some people ran away and were dragged back to join this fight. So you had a fighting force that didn't want to be there. You had leadership who were incompetent, who could not even provide food and the proper ammo for the army. And the planning, they did one guy who was smart, who said, you can't fight here, we'll get slaughtered. They ignored him. They listened to someone else who was incompetent, who couldn't even see any of the tactical areas could be used against them. And basically they get slaughtered. And the film goes into why they lost, like the incompetence, the clan rivalries, the how people were exhausted by the time we got there. How Charlie sent people to do these little missions that were disasters, then they had to come back and they were knackered and they had to start fighting again anyway. And it was just like every bad decision was made in this thing. But also the film goes into snapshots of different people involved, like this person was a 13-year-old child who should never have been there. This person was starving and forced to come and fight even though he had no interest. Then it also goes to the soldiers who are fighting against them. We show that the Campbell clan are there because they want to stay in with the English. You've got the MacDonald clan are on the other side, and they're kind of the... because MacDonalds and Campbells don't like each other much. I'm a Campbell, trust me. It's been a feud for hundreds of years. And basically, both sides are ready to go each other. But there's lots of Scots who are fighting for the English, saying, look, we have to put this down now. We have to show ourselves to be in their side, because they knew that the English were going to destroy them. And it's like, okay, we're on their side, we've shown loyalty against a failed coup, and we can actually, we'll make good out of this one. So they just join and they just help trash the people. And he shows you how badly they're trashed, how Charles Stuart runs away basically, abandons everyone, and he goes back to Europe and just leaves them all to die. And it's also about the practicalities of the army. Like they were saying, yeah, they were that you saw that like the class divisions within the clans, also class divisions within the army, like how one person paid a fortune while the person 3 steps behind them were getting paid almost nothing in the army, and how a lot of the army were just trying to survive this fight and then just so they can go home. You know, a lot of people like farmers and butchers and things like that coming to do this fight and then going home again. And if you're on one side, you can say, I won the fight. And basically, they would just destroyed the Scots, and then they left the injured on the battlefield for days, but they went and hunted down the people who were running. On their way to Inverness, they killed anybody they saw on the way, just to prove a point that they'd won. And then eventually they went back and killed the people on the battlefield after days later, and just shot them in the head or stabbed them, you know, just killed them. but they were actually attacking people in Inverness as well to prove who won. And whoever, all these people who are absolutely horrible on the English side were given recommendations because how their bravery, even though they'd pretty much beaten up women and children and injured men and things. So it showed you how awful the system was, and that's what Peter Watkins does. It shows you how awful the system is. All the problems within the system, all the things that people haven't thought about, all the things people don't care about. And it shows you how people can be horrible. People can just be horrible. And they don't think things through, and they don't care about the consequences. And they have a very simplistic view, and that causes means violence to other people, so be it, I don't care. So it shows you all this stuff, and it shows you the aftermath after Charlie leaves, and now the English actually destroy the clan systems. Doesn't allow their taverns to be shown for a long time, doesn't allow the songs to be said, destroys their language, Gaelic, so they can't talk in their own language, destroys everything, puts people everywhere so that no one can escape the rise of the English. And also it means the clan systems win. The clan systems lose, but the certain clans win because they are following the New English way, which is less clan loyalty, more to do with the owners of the land, who are the clan leaders, now having total sway over the clans. And the other one, people are less like clans and more like employees. There's less clan loyalty really because the clan system's gone. So it's about the end of an era for Scotland, the end of a way of life that went on for hundreds of years and now was just gone. Because of, Charlie was the thing they used as an excuse, but they wanted to do it before that. But Charlie was the one that pushed it, it's like, that's it, we've had enough, we're going to do this. But it is about the brutality of the system, and it's a wonderful way of doing it, is they treat it as if there's a camera crew watching it all going on, and explain who everyone is, and explain what happened. It lasts like 70 minutes, but it really delivers. It was really brutal, and you think it's the perfect way to do Culloden, because it takes away any sentimentality you'd get from a dramatisation. Like normal dramatisation would try and have good characters, bad characters. And this one, they're just people. Like the people on the side of the rebels don't want to be there. The army doesn't particularly want to be there either, but it's a job to do. You've got scumbags on both sides who are out for themselves, and it's a tragedy. And it's just like, that's the way wars happen. Wars happen because people behave like psychopaths. War's not glorious, war's horrible. And a war, and it shows you step by step, a war is basically beating down the other side, stays step by step by step so they cannot fight back. And that's it, that's all it is, that's all it ever will be. And if you have the better firepower, the better techniques, better training, you will win. Especially our team, other side, do not use the land to their advantage. So, it's a wonderful film, Culloden's great. The war game is all about nuclear bombs and all the stuff that comes along with nuclear bombs, which it usually is not really covered very well. Nuclear weapons are used as like Bond villain techniques, like we're going to destroy the world, or we're going to pay this much money or we'll set a nuclear bomb off somewhere. This film shows you what would actually happen in a case of nuclear war. This is kind of like the perfect side by side would be this and Doctor Strangelove. Doctor Strangelove shows the absurdity of the military side, and this one shows you the absurdity of the preventions. But it does it in a very documentary fashion, showing you like, this is what they said would happen, this was what actually would happen. And it's 45 minutes long, and it starts at the first 15 minutes of just like the build up, and these are the theories about nuclear weapons, and this is what happens, and then the nukes go off, and you see the after effects, and you see how people have, their retinas are burned from miles away, the nuclear bombs are from miles away, and anyone looks at it, they're blinded instantly, and they're burned, the third degree burns, and there's the after effects of the wind, and the wind goes crazy for ages because of the effects of the nuclear weapon. It shows you the effects of the nuclear weapon on food supplies, on populations. It shows you how ridiculous it is to try and have any kind of preparedness, because you know it doesn't really matter. If you're in the wrong place, you're dead. Like sandbags ain't going to help you. If you're in the if you're further away, you may survive the initial strike, but it's going to be hell on earth afterwards because you're going to get sick pretty quickly, radiation poisoning. There's going to be a lack of supplies. You're going to lack of any vitamins which actually help you stay awake and stay normal. So you end up feeling lethargic pretty quickly and you end up losing the will to live. And it shows you the stages of close to nuclear blast, certain distance nuclear blast, a bit further away, and shows you all the social things like how people would be forced to live with people who can't stand and all the problems that would cause, how people would just shoot their guts out, how people would just slowly lose the will to live, how riots would happen for food, how people who would normally be civilised, what they call the civilised middle classes, would turn into animalism just to try and survive, how the army would soon be attacked by their own people just to get supplies, how few supplies can actually be created because it's a nuclear wasteland. And it just goes on and on, detail after detail about how this is the worst case scenario if these weapons go, and how all the preparations they've got means that if the nukes start going off, they'll just fire at them all just because what the hell, because you never know what would be taken out, what wouldn't be taken out. You don't want to lose, even though you're going to lose because you've set off the nukes. And it just showed you how insane the nuclear mutual assured destruction actually is, how crazy it is to keep it going. You know, I've seen theories of why this is a good idea because it saves people from going to war, but you're risking full-on catastrophe. I've always felt this way, so it's not anything new. It's just this film just shows you like you do not want to risk this. This is terrible stuff. This is horrible stuff. One mistake and it all could go to hell. The whole world could go to hell, and there's no escape after that. We're all dead. And it takes away the fantasy you get from like a Mad Max or Terminator series, like the idea that you could survive in some ways. Like, no you wouldn't, you're dead. There's no way you survive this. There's no way to get through this, so just don't assume you'd manage. It's just a wonderful film, 45 minutes long. You can't go any longer than this without being utterly depressed, because by the 30-minute mark you're just feeling you're almost catatonic watching this, because this is just the most brutal stuff ever. It's wonderful, it's a masterpiece, but it is very brutal because it just goes step by step. This is what they say was going to happen, this is what would actually happen, and all the things about how people would have to mark people as no hope cases, just say like you just have to shoot them because they can't survive. It's kind of a shoot them and stuff like that, and who could you'd have to save your drugs for the people who might help, so people who are no hopers couldn't get the drugs to survive. It's just like non-stop horror stories of people just slowly getting destroyed, and then you imagine this going from place to place to place of just this massive death. Really, this is a really horrifying film. Peter Watkins is a terrific director. I'm going to do a few more of his films over the next few months, so this is the introduction to a kind of Peter Watkins mini-season. So hope you enjoyed this. I'll be back soon for another video, but this is the end of the nuclear depression. Right, bye for now.